States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. First thing is correspondence. And I believe we have a letter from a parent regarding transportation. And then the next thing is the report from the superintendent. I hand it over.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. I apologize for my voice. I have a little bit of a cold, but we're having a great opening here in Sayville, and it's October already. I just want to highlight a couple things. We had an audit report today that was very smooth, and I want to just thank the business office, Ms. Messerol, our assistant superintendent for business and personnel, for just helping to organize that audit committee and make it a really great report showing our financials. Also, just want to kind of take you around the district. But before we do, I wanted to point out some stats that were really kind of nice to look at. And if you look at the screen behind me, these are our SAT scores over the last 6 or 7 years. And the blue line is the nation, the orange line is the state, and the purple line is Sayville. Not only is it nice to see Sayville significantly above all state averages and national averages, but even after COVID, you can see there's a real significant increase over time with those scores. And I want to thank board members for putting some of these charts together. Here's another look at it in a different way. The blue being the national averages, the state being orange, and Sayville being green. And again, not only is Sayville significantly higher than other districts, but it also we had a dip during COVID, but then shooting right back up over time. So you always want to see this trending in the right direction. And this is just a testament to our teachers, to our students, to our families, and the quality of education here in Sayville. And I think it's important to just kind of share that. Yeah, so clap for everybody. But it really just kind of is a great picture. Someone also shared with us some data about home sales, and I think Sayville home sales are up 30% or something like that. And I think there is a correlation between home sales and quality of schools. And again, that's just a great place to work, live, and raise a family here in Sayville. Want to celebrate our high school students in the business department. Our virtual enterprise international firms are all set up and running for 24-25. Each class has crafted resumes, honed their interview skills, and successfully secured positions. The students will now focus on defining their business concepts and drafting their business plans. Their first online trade show will be on November 12th, and the C-suite executives will be gearing up for the leadership conference at LIU on November 21st. I wanted to comment. I really enjoyed and thank the business department for inviting me to interview some of these students. I had the opportunity to interview students for CEO positions, for design positions, for department chair positions, and every student I interviewed came prepared, was articulate, was passionate about the work they were doing, and that just is going to lead to success. So I just want to wish those students good luck and congratulate the teacher for setting up a really great year for success. Also want to go down to the elementary schools where students in the preschool, we have 8 sections of preschool this year, over 140 students in our pre-K programs, which is wonderful. 4 sections in Lincoln, 2 in Cherry, and 2 in Sunrise Drive. The universal pre-K classes recently embarked on an exciting and hands-on learning journey, discovering the life cycle of an apple. Through books, interactive lessons, and fun visuals, the children learned how the apples go from seeds to juicy, delicious fruit. Students took apple exploration to the next level by tasting apples of different colors, green, yellow, and red. Each child had the chance to sample a variety of flavors and determine which were sweet, sour, or a mix of both. To make it even more fun, the children voted on their favorite type of apple. And not only were we tasting apples, we're also learning science skills by sorting and observing and charting and graphing how the tastes and different looks are. Now, the grand finale was making baked apples right in the classroom using a crock pot. The children took turns helping to prepare the apples, sprinkling them with cinnamon and touch of sweetness. So it's always great to visit these pre-K classes to watch not only creativity going on, but imagination. The kids really like play. It's purposeful play, and it leads to some really great learning.
If I may, we had the honor of going to the UPK classes, and really there's something special. Really something special.
Yeah, they're so tiny, and they really do. Like the other day I was in a class and they were in stations, and one of the stations was restaurant. And, I walked in, I was like, hey guys, what's going on? And there's like, he's the head chef. I was like, oh, and what's on the menu today? And then this one's the waiter and this one's the customer, and they're making change, and they're just learning through play. And it's such a wonderful place of imagination and even just learning to engage with each other. It's just really awesome. We had a visit at the high school and middle school that was really, really special. A Holocaust survivor, Marianne Lazan, visited the Sayville Middle School and High School this past week and spoke to students about her story of determination, perseverance, and hope. And I have to say, the kids were were completely engaged in this presentation. The staff was completely engaged in the presentation. I was just listening intently to this woman who told a story of in 1936, when she was 2 years old. They lived a normal life. Her father was a shoe salesman. They had a store. They lived above the store. And then all of a sudden, one night, the Nazis came, broke all the glass, rounded them up, and they tried to escape. So they escaped to Holland, and they were getting on a boat to the United States. They waited 7 months for the ship to leave. And in the 8th month, the Nazis invaded Holland and took over again. And they were grabbed again and put in concentration camps. And for 7 years, she didn't see grass or trees. She lived in a bunkhouse with 600 people that was designed for 100. They got a slice of bread a day. Just hearing this story, when you think about, we always believe that we're lucky to be free as Americans. But when you hear someone talk about how from age 2 to basically 11, she didn't see grass and she had no rights and she was afraid every day of being killed if she didn't do exactly what she was told, I think was really shocking to the kids. Because you can read about it and you can learn about it, but to have an actual person standing there at 91 years old telling you her story was quite remarkable. And I think her message of, if you think you're having a bad day or a bad week or things are hard, you can overcome it. If she could get through 10 years in a Nazi concentration camp, you can get through the stresses of what's going on in your life. And there's strategies you can do. And she wrote a book called Four Pebbles, and she talked about just how do you persevere, how do you push through. And it was really, I thought that the adults and the children were mesmerized. And the coolest thing, when you know a lesson worked, is what the kids do after. And both at the middle school and the high school, kids swarmed her and wanted to talk to her, hug her, hold her hand, hear more from her. They didn't want to leave her. And so that, it made an impact when kids don't want to leave the room. They could go to lunch and they're still sitting there talking to her, trying to find out more. So I just want to thank the PPS department, Ms. Macris, the middle school and the high school staff for bringing this into the schools. The one thing she also said was, when she was living in Germany, there was anti-Semitism, and her grandfather said, it's always been this way. We need to stay, and they never could imagine that some of that anti-Semitism that existed could turn into what it turned into. And her message to the kids was, you use social media today, use it for good. Always be kind and never accept 1 inch of hate. And it doesn't matter what religion, what race, not 1 inch of hate, because once you start to say that's just joking around and it's okay, you're opening the door for something that you couldn't imagine. And I think that resonated with our kids, and it did with me for sure. So again, I just want to thank the team for bringing this person into our schools. And we have a new gate over at the high school field. The purpose of the gate was to keep people from, ruining our field. So it's really nice because it looks pretty and it creates a nice entrance for the school, for the field. But also we were noticing kids were throwing bikes over the smaller gate and riding on the field, and that's not appropriate. So hopefully we can keep the field safe, but also with a pretty entrance. The field will be open to the public during the day and on weekends, but it gives us the ability to lock it up at night so that we can keep our asset, which is an expensive field, safe and protected. So I want to thank Buildings and Grounds and the athletic department for designing that for our area. And overall, that's the report. We had our audit report. We're open to questions from the board. And next week, you're going to hear from the PPS and special ed department, not next week, but next meeting. And we're going to honor some kids. It's going to be a really nice meeting. So thank you, and take some questions.
I was just curious, is there, I thought maybe there was going to be an arch.
There is.
Over the gate? Right.
It's been designed, and we're looking at the design. So we
Okay.
want to make sure it fits the aesthetic that we want. But the first priority was getting the gate in so that we could lock it, and then we're talking about the arch.
Are you talking with the vendor about that, George?
Yeah, they're designing it, so we're reviewing the designs.
Any other?
Okay, so and I just want to remind everyone that on October 16th, Sayville is saying no to bullying. We're doing a fundraiser for the Long Island Coalition Against Bullying. We've encouraged people to buy socks. It's not something people have to do. If they want to support the Long Island Coalition, they can buy the socks and wear them. We're also wearing orange throughout the district, and each building has a special, unique things planned. But the idea is just that we're going to continue during the month of October and always to say no to bullying. The Long Island Coalition for Bullying has supported Sayville schools for quite some time. Not only do they do presentations for us, but they also give scholarships to our children. So anything we can help them to raise money for their scholarships actually comes back to the district through the form of scholarships for kids. So it's just one of many great events that we're just kind of continuing to promote throughout the schools. Okay, now.
Okay, so then we move on to board discussion. The first item we have is the Island Hills letter, but you have it.
So,
I mean, what I was thinking, because Christine's not here,
Mhm.
I mean, you can give it to us, then we can review it, and we could discuss it at the next meeting. Would that be better, or do
Sure,
you want to
yeah.
discuss it now?
So Christine had mentioned the Island Hills situation, and we obviously know it's not impacting us with students, but it may be impacting us environmentally or with traffic. And we just feel they should be a little more transparent. And when they have meetings, it shouldn't be closed meetings or an elite group of people at the meetings. So here's a letter for everyone to look at. And I did share this with Christine because she feels very strongly about this.
Great.
Yeah, thank you for working collaboratively on that. Appreciate it.
Okay, but we have time then to
Yeah.
review it, then we'll discuss it, because then she's here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. So then, the next item is the Nassau Suffolk Resolutions Dinner, which was, I guess, 2 weeks ago. You were there as well, right? And I mean, I found it very useful to see the tone of what's going on the island, because basically it's a mechanism for school boards to make proposals, and then Nassau Suffolk school boards then will present them to the legislature and advocate for it. So I thought it was very useful. And I mean, I would say 50% of the measures were supported and 50% were not.
Yeah, I'll say a word about it
Yeah.
too. So the way it works is that if we had, say, a resolution that we thought was important, we would hope that the New York State school boards would take that as a legislative agenda. So what the Nassau Suffolk School Boards does is we have like a simulated, but it's an actual vote whether the Nassau Suffolk is going to support it. So oftentimes that then sets up how it's received on the state level. It's a good reality test because we all believe in local control. That's why we're on boards. But sometimes you may have an idea that it really just like it's when you present it to people that kind of walk in the same shoes in their community, you get either validation or like, where's that coming from? So it's just, for me, it's just kind of good feedback, and it's good to kind of see where people's heads are at. So I just always enjoy it. It's just
Yeah.
something that's really neat. It's
And-
democracy in action.
And I think an example was last year we had advocated for the additional training for security staff. And that's how we were able to get the message pushed through.
Yeah.
So, okay, next item is railroad track fencing. So,
Yeah, so
Just get your mic.
this topic of railway suicides came up at the last meeting. And, we strongly feel that we would love to bring an end to this if possible, right? One death is too many. And we've lost students here in Sayville. So I shared last time that I know, and in Bayport, they have the chain link fence with the artificial grass. And I had heard that psychologically that's a deterrent. So I wanted to learn more. And I found a credible source of an article, and I shared it with the board, and I printed it here so everyone has. And it states in here that there was evidence that when the fencing was 100 meters or longer, the incidence of railway suicide decreased by 57% within a 1,000 meter radius of fencing sites. So I thought this was a good starting point for us.
Yeah. I would think the next or to collect more information would be that we find out whose jurisdiction it would be in, whether it's
MTA.
town or.
Yeah, I think it'd be the
MTA.
MTA. So if you guys are all right with this, I would like to propose that I reach out to the
Mhm.
MTA, find out if they own those fences and what they do and who would be responsible to speak to about it. And then, whatever bureaucracy and red tape there is,
Mhm.
at least we'll know what we would have to do to get it.
Mhm.
And I also talked to the superintendent at Bayport Blue Point just to see if he had any
Mhm.
knowledge of, the school's role in helping them get it over there, because clearly they have it
Mhm.
in Bayport. So you would want to hear, especially in light of, things that happen.
Right, maybe our local legislators and I can't think of his name right now. It's escaping me. He graduated from Sayville, a Congressman
Garbarino.
Garbarino.
Yes.
And Alexis Wyke is a
Yes.
resident in
Yeah.
Sayville, so
Yes.
We might need them just to deal with the bureaucracy of the MTA.
Right. I think the first step is I'm going to reach out to the MTA and then I'll report back to you what I find.
I mean, the harsh reality with the MTA is they got a couple $2 billion deficit in their budget. So that's,
Like, they don't call state senator offices back.
yeah.
I mean, but I think to me, we might need them if
All right.
we're going to look at
Right.
this.
Sounds good.
But even like you raised the point, even Garbarino is actually, it's not our own, it's not just a problem here. It's a nationwide problem. So. Okay. Next item is Islip Town School Board's annual meeting on October 28th.
Yeah, can we review what the breakdown of that night is all about?
In the past, I've gone to them. It was usually, actually, Norm Devenot was a big part of arranging. He was on that committee, and so was John Bodone. And they generally have, an invitation for all Islip Town school boards to go, and usually have a presentation. And it's a learning situation. You learn about the school that it's being hosted by, and they usually bring speakers in or something to that effect. So I haven't seen an agenda or anything from them. So maybe we can reach out to Bay Shore to see what they're planning. I'm
Yes.
definitely interested in going. Has anybody else? Yeah. I think Christine said you would want to go as well. Yeah. So if we could find out more information.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we have the convention and expo on October 20th, which I think will be very good for as many of us to go, understanding that it's during the day on Monday and Tuesday. So, but the last time I went to that event, I thought it was really great because then they have some really good presentations, and you definitely see the situation of the school districts and what they're dealing with as well. So, looking forward to that. And then the last thing I have is the school boards and Scope presents Difficult Conversations. That's on November 18th, 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. In Comac at the Hamel. So anybody can sign up for that, just like Julie know. So. Any questions on those topics? So the one thing I wanted to touch base on is regarding the audit. We had the presentation during the audit committee. So I just wanted to say that they found the opinion is an unmodified opinion on the auditor's report, which is the highest level you can get. So that's good news for Sayville schools. And just to thank the business office and all the staff for their participation in, the financial processes of the district. And we wouldn't be able to accomplish this without their support. And then the other thing I wanted to touch base on is it was sent to you, but also, I don't know if you put it on the screen. I sent you the email.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go. It's coming.
So a couple of years ago, I worked with the business office to try and find a way to explain these auditor processes and, all the different auditors. And maybe you can kind of run through just a little bit of the slide, as far as the structure.
Sure. So I know a lot of this was further delineated with HEPC's 5-point plan going back a bit of time, but we are serviced by the first 3 auditors, our claims auditor who looks at our every disbursement that goes out from the district is reviewed for appropriate code, documentation, and that claims auditor submits a monthly report to the Board of Ed on any findings that he may find in his review of all claims. Then, as Mr. Foley had mentioned, we had a presentation from our external auditors as part of our audit committee meeting this evening, and that their role is predominantly an opinion on our audited financial statements, and that opinion is based upon tested transactions, and there are some components of the audit. There's a separate audit on our extra classroom funds, a single audit where we are in receipt of more than $750,000 in federal funds, and then of course on our regular financial statements. And those after this evening will be posted to the website. Sorry, I am a loudspeaker, but hopefully this is better. And then we engage internal auditors. It's a separate outside firm, and they're predominantly interested in risk assessment, and they do an update to our internal controls annually. If there are areas of potential risk, they do take into consideration cost benefit. In other words, you won't put more money to improving an internal control if the benefit is not derived. So they do look at cost benefit, but additionally, they also pick a particular cycle each year, and that is guided by the audit committee and the Board of Education. So though that presentation was done, I believe on July 23rd, and that report, would give certain recommendations or just things that might be of an improvement for the district and internal controls. And then lastly, this is whenever there's a surprise, but it's the New York State Comptroller's Office. They also do various types of audits. Sometimes they are compliance audits. Sometimes they are helpful. I've been part of those also. But normally they look at an inch wide and 10 feet deep. So they will be coming in and putting their efforts towards a particular area. But through that, it is compliance, and there are separate reports. So I think it's been a while since the district was audited by the New York State Comptroller's Office. But a lot of their audits are often guided by maybe findings they have in other districts, or it's just we haven't seen you in a number of years. We're coming to take a look at your books and records and the regulations with New York State Education Department.
And I would just want to add, basically the school district's financial health is based on a foundation of district-wide policies and procedures. And then on top of that is the business office, with controls and segregation of duties. And then what we just talked about, the 4 pillars are the claims auditor, the external auditor, the internal auditor, and New York State audits. I guess from a household perspective, is the claims auditor is monitoring your checkbook. Every check that's written out is reviewed and checked that it's accurate. The external auditor comes in once a year to make sure your books are in good shape. And then the internal auditor, we do a risk assessment every year, and we go into different programs and different aspects of the school. And then some think it is it's a punishment, but it's actually a benefit to districts. The New York State does audits randomly. Like the last one they did was on fund balance. They rated all the schools about fund balance. And then we have the audit committee, and then this is all reported to the Board of Education, which represents the public. But I thought for the new board members, because there's so many different audits and so many things going around and business reports, I thought this would be helpful for you guys.
Yeah, I wanted to thank both of you for this because as we said before, for Desmond and I, this is a realm of knowledge new to us and it's complex and it's really important for the district. So this makes it easier to understand.
I
Thank
like
you.
pictures.
Thank you.
I just wanted to also add, our claims auditor is the eyes and ears of the Board of Education. So it's very important that that is, because it's a very big task. So when the board can appoint someone to serve in that function and report monthly, it's very helpful because it is quite comprehensive when they're looking through all of the claims and the disbursements that go out from the district.
I think I even recall, like, the original policy was the board could choose to review
Yes,
the
you
claims
may.
themselves.
I don't,
Yeah,
yes, yes, you
or
may.
they could appoint somebody to do it, which is like, that was
much.
30 years ago, whatever. I think they changed that finally.
And I think, most people think of schools as the classrooms and the teachers and the work we do with the kids, which is the majority of our work. But there's so much that goes into the behind the scenes of just being financially sound, being fiscally responsible to our taxpayers, ensuring that every dollar is spent wisely and appropriately. And, we have 5 board goals, 4 of which are really related to instruction and curriculum and caring environment. But the 5th or the 4th one is about finance and making sure that we have a sound financial plan to ensure that we can provide those instructional programs for our kids and that they're doing it in a way that is fiduciarily responsible to our taxpayers. So it's important to have this structure and to be transparent about it because taxpayers have a right to know where their dollars go and how it's used for our kids.
Also, I was thinking maybe we can explore making this part of the policy or something with the audit committee or something as far as, for future boards,
Or, I mean, we certainly could maybe even find a spot on the website. I don't
Yeah.
think it is there now, but,
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
a piece of information or something, if someone's curious about what types of audits or what kind of safeguards there are.
Okay, good. Okay, any other topics? No. Okay, so then we'll move on to public comment. Can I have a show of hands if anybody would like to speak? Okay. So I guess then we'll move on to our board business. So we have, hold on. I need a motion for 601 recommended action minutes to recommended action finance 710. Can I have a motion?
Motion?
Second? Kelly and Desmond. Discussion?
I just wanted to acknowledge that we received the Lori Abrams Memorial Scholarship Fund. I just wanted to acknowledge and say thank you for, we received the Lori Abrams Memorial Scholarship Fund from Earl and Nancy Mueller. And we also received a donation from NYSER, which was great. So thank you.
Yes, and on that note, Julie mentioned that we can actually, we'll send out a thank you card for the donations. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Against? Motion passes. Then I need a motion for item 801, new business personnel through 901, new business other. Motion? Kathy?
Second.
Kelly? All those, discussion? All those in favor? Against? Motion passes. And then we have upcoming dates. On October 14th is Columbus Day, schools closed. October 19th, a homecoming parade and game at 2:00. But the parade starts
I think it's at
12, right? And then October 24th, we have a Board of Education meeting at 7:30. with student awards at the old junior high.
So it will start there and then it will come back here.
Yes. Okay. Last chance for a public comment. Okay. Now we're going to go to exec session. Is it regarding the contract?
To discuss a personnel matter.
Okay. I need a motion then to go into exec session to discuss a personnel matter. Second? James and Kathy. All those in favor? Motion passes. We'll go into exec session. Good night.